Good morning, everyone. So let's start. I'm going to do a product analysis of Koh-i-noor inks. They are highly pigmented inks that are made from source. So like turmeric could be the yellow, marigold could be the yellow, blueberries could be like the blue that is coming through. So they're highly pigmented colours. Just going to show you. It's something I use all the time in my artwork, on my designs. I may start off actual painting with them in the background, and then I turn to adding in mixed media art or going into acrylic painting. So here we've got, they look like watercolours, but they're actually not. They're highly pigmented inks. So I just wanted to show you, I'm going to do wet on wet and dry on dry. These are my wet on wet versions of the types of things you can do. Now, when we talk about wet on wet, we are looking at covering the paper in a big thick brush, something that is this is probably about 2 inches, and literally it's a soft brush. It's not like a decorating brush, but you can use decorating brushes as well, but the soft one is a little bit different because it doesn't scratch the paper. So this is quite soft. These are by Major brushes, if you can ever get them. They do sometimes sell them in craft shops. So this is applying on the water, but I will also do different types of washes with these with colour. Then you have a smaller brush. This is probably about a size, let's say about an 8, okay, size 8 brush. And then I've got a smaller brush that is probably about a 4, okay, so just what your preference is. These are rounded brushes, okay, you can get just the flat brush, but I like to use rounded brushes because they contain the water for a little bit longer. Always make sure your brush has a point towards a pointer then, and it's not like been scrubbed. So I've got a pet hate about not scrubbing your brushes. So we're going to start with these. Now, you can get these paints from Koh-i-noor, and they also, Sea White in England carries these, and I'm sure you can get them from specialists. You can definitely get them from different craft stores. Possibly, where would have them in England that is high street? Hobbycraft may have them. It's just something you need to find. But they are made by Koh-i-noor, and they're just lovely to use. I'm going to go through the colours before we start. So what you have here, and in fact I'll test the colours as we're going along, and then I can always use the piece of paper again. So I've often wondered, I've got actually, in fact, this one has probably lasted me probably around about 15 years. My friend introduced me to these colours. She was the textile teacher at a school I was at while I was teaching art and design, and I haven't looked back since, and I love them, and I put them all my workshops, and they're just so vibrant. So I'm going to work with water, and I'm just going to show you the colours. So this one's a emerald green, which is lovely. Don't forget, you can water these down as you go along, so you can go thinner and thinner and thinner, and you can brush them out. They're not permanent. They will continue to mix as you're mixing them until you apply another, something like acrylics on top. So you've got your green. You also have your light green. You then have your red. Now the red is a strange colour because I often think, oh, that's gone brown. Okay, well, we always make mistakes. So there is the red underneath there. I think I was using the brown at the time, so I'm just going to wash that a little bit. So I was using orange and colours. So we're coming up with a little bit more. The red is a funny one. It's not like a scarlet red. It's just kind of like a dull red. So at the moment, this is still dirty and I haven't got a cloth with me. So I'm just cleaning this up. But as you can see, it's getting more intense as we go along. Okay. So just getting rid of, it's usually not as dark as this, but you can see that it's getting more and more red by the minute. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one there. And then we've got an orange, and I've obviously got some black paint on that as well. And this is, again, working with the orange. Now that's a bit mustardy, but because I've used another colour on top. Now I tend to use these colours with acrylic paint, so I'll work with a white acrylic paint, so you can use literally anything with these. You now got a yellow, and the yellow again is quite a nice yellow. It's quite a hot, you know, quite a intense yellow. So there we've got the colours. Now I've often wondered about the whites. Now the white, I don't use the white very often, unless I was working on black paper. Obviously you can't see that now, but what you can do with the white is bring in, and you can actually then mix it in with the other colours. Now I use these mostly for effects, but at times I will work from the pure colour. I'm just going to grab another. Don't throw anything away, by the way. So we're going to use that to show some other designs. So at the moment, okay, I'm just testing out the colours. So now we're going to go to, this is like a dark, no, it's a black. Don't even know the colours, what I can see. I'm like, I would say at the moment we haven't got the sun out. So that is a black, she says, which is quite a nice black. This is a grey, which when you have the white and you have the grey, again, this is another, what I'd say, probably colour that could been, you know, not probably put into the pack. But it is a grey, and I've got a little bit of green in there because I got that on my brush. We've then got a brown. So that's quite a nice brown. Just remember, you can mix these. So if you think about, I mean, you could see I'm working with my reds and my oranges, the colours that you can mix. So I was using brown before, and you can bring up all your colours and add some brown to it. So again, it's all about how you are using. And then this is, I think it's a purple. Yes, it's a purple. So nice purple. And then you've got a turquoise blue, which is vibrant, absolutely beautiful. And then you have a darker blue, which is even more vibrant. I would say from all these colours, which are lovely, and as you go along and you mix them in, you are definitely, you know, you're bringing in some different tones and what you can do to them. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of colour and start to mix those in, okay? So you can get rid and you can mix them in, and they blend really lovely. And I would say they're lovely. So I have my favourite colours. Of course I've got my favourite colours. So I use all those colours, and I use all those, and I use a lot of orange and the yellow and the light green. Not so much the red, unless I'm doing a warm area. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to one side. So these are Koh-i-noor pigmented inks. They will probably come in the shop as known as watercolours, but they're highly pigmented, So I'm going to put that aside so you can see, if I put my colour swatches out the way there, that what types of things. So we're going to look at water on water. So we're working with water on the paper and just allowing the inks to smudge. Okay. And I'm also going to probably bring in Brusho inks as well. So again, this is again Koh-i-noor. This is working dry on dry, and this allowing for a little bit of smudging going on. This again is working with wet on wet, and this is working on wet. It depends what effect you actually like. If you like the effect of the bleeding and the bleeding going in and submerging and really wishy-washy, okay, they all have their different values, all different things that can go into design. So I'm just going to move these out of the way for the moment, okay, and put those somewhere else for now. I'm going to bring in white paper, and I'm just going to, before we start, I'm just going to show. So this is, you know, that's just dry, doing it dry and working with the paintbrush and the lovely colours that you can actually do. I've got another one here. Again, this is another one that was actually dry, but then I put some colour in, and you can, you know, see it submerging together. So again, they're really, really lovely, and they dry very quickly, so we're good with that. So I'm going to take the large brush now. I'm going to work with the thicker brush, and I'm just going to put in, you know, literally, I like to just not have a control sometimes over the paint, what it's doing, the ink rather. So I'm just going to leave that. You need to work quite quickly with your colours. Going to make sure that this is wet as well. And I'm going to work with my favourite colours. So again, so I put that down, and it's kind of just submerging. I'm going to, I probably think, just before you start, don't forget to put brown paper down or something that will protect your surface. I've just got paint all on the table now. Never mind. Okay, so you've got, looking at sort of your inks, and I'm putting that down and I'm letting it smudge. You can see it smudging, okay, and it's actually quite nice. If you wanted to put more water down, you can, and you just literally shake it on top. Doesn't matter, okay, there's no right or wrong way of doing something. I'm going to take a little bit more of that color because I work with the idea of 3 1 3 5 kind of Fibonacci technique. And then again, I'm just going to add in some of this color, which is my bright color. Just allow it to start doing whatever it does. And don't forget, this again is what mixes happen. So obviously my green and my purple, if it comes together, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, may go to a brown, okay, but that's okay. So these are quite nice to bring in, and I'm going to bring in a little bit there as well, so the color will change. And I'm just bringing that in there, okay. And then I'm going to come in with my light color just around here, because I feel that the thing. So from doing, just playing with this work, you can create, you know, some really nice, I do a lot of decorative papers, I do a lot of ideas for wallpapers, and it's just building out your idea of creating, you know, something that can be, you're going to test the colors first, okay? So I'm just going to leave that like that. You can always get your, allow them to kind of submerge into each other even more by taking the bit of paper and just literally turning it round on itself, and then you get some really unusual. And the other thing you can do is to get some quite quick work, you can use a hairdryer. So now I've just kind of just left that to be whatever it wants to be, okay? And I'm just going to put in a little bit of yellow just up here, which is going to pick up the green, of course, the green that I've just used. So this is wet on wet, okay? Really, really nice kind of area, and you, from where I am, I don't know if you can see this, but where I've just put that yellow down, it's starting to emerge and bleed into each other. And that's what the, you know, the simplicity of how creative this can be. Now, what you do with it afterwards, you can add lace, you can add, you know, you can do collaging, you can add in stitch. Don't forget, if you're doing stitch, paper tears on a sewing machine or even by hand, and you'll have to put some fabric down behind it. So that is a design at the moment. So that is your wet on wet. Okay, and I'm going to put that to one side. And now I'm going to take this other one, and I'm going to literally, just with the paintbrush, I am looking at some, this one is dry now, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the colours, and again, it's the colours I really like. So I love this blue, so I'm going to basically, and you can do, you know, seascapes, you can do anything with it, and I'm just doing straight lines. This will bleed into each other as well, but a little bit more controlled. I'm bringing in some brown, okay, and you again can see, you know, how vibrant these colours are compared to watercolours. Certain watercolours, certain makes allow you, I think the more on the watercolour side, if we look at the ones that come out of a tube rather than a little tablet, they are more controlled and much more more pigmented, and the Winsor and Newton. So again, I'm just kind of playing, and you can see that when you mix your colours, they are blending together, and you are creating, you know, then obviously different colours. But this is a little bit different. You've got a lot more control over this, and then you're bringing in, and if I just, you know, use the colour, this is all, you know, from just using the colour as it is, okay, and letting that dry. So these are Koh-i-noor pigmented inks, okay, we're going to leave it at that. That already in itself would make a lovely wallpaper. So from here, I'm going to now take another piece of paper, and we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to show you the difference of Brusho. Now, Brusho are lovely. They spread like anything. They're very different to, this is more controlled, but with these, they come in a pot like this, like a little, I think they're 15 mils, are they? About 15 mil pots. Yeah, about 15 mil pots, and they have lids, but I will tell you now, okay, now you can put your paintbrush in there, you can put a little bit out on the side, but when you cover your paintbrush, oh, and by the way, you will get it on your hands. It takes, with fairy liquid, it will come out in a day or so, okay, because they are pigmented inks, you know, and they are quite intense. All right, they're different. They don't just wash off. So you do get your hands. But they're a really nice thing to use. So I'm going to take the big brush, and as you see, I've got colour already over it. Okay, I'm going to just put a little bit more water. Make sure the water's going both ways. So one way and then the other way. So this is slightly different, okay? Now, you can sprinkle from the pot. Or what I've done, because it tends to go really quickly and you've got to keep your hands steady, and I'm not steady at all. I've put holes with a needle in the top, okay? So that now if I sprinkle out, and maybe the holes are not actually too big. another one, because I'm aware that, okay, that's maybe not working as quick as I would like it to. Okay, because the holes are probably not big enough. But I'm aware when I use these with students that they come out too much, and if we get a little bit more, so you can see a little bit's happening. That's not the effect that I wanted. Okay, so I am going to open these because I think I've put them all with, and they come in, you can get 24 colours of these, or a smaller pack of 15. Where have I seen these? Specialist. These come from Specialist. So I'm just going to open this up. As you can see, that's not worked out very good. That's probably because the holes are not big enough at all. So now I can just wash over this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top off and sprinkle that on. Now this is prepared for it to pop, okay, because it is going to pop. And again, these are highly pigmented as well. And you just kind of put your finger, and you literally, they start with the water. It's like watching fireworks come out on your paper, and they spread and bleed. But the whole effect of using these, they are, sometimes you can't always control, and sometimes some come out, and then you end up with that you've wasted quite a bit of them. Again, very intense, beautiful. This reminds me of sea creatures. Okay, but again, these are quite lovely to use. I'm going to put the top back on because they can spill easily. Let's try and see if we've got any, what colour this is. So it says it's cobalt blue, and this was a crimson. Okay, that's going to be a nice mixture. So again, see, that was too much. You can mix these with a paintbrush, but it's, if you like, the this sort of idea of kind of what it's going to do. I feel it's like, you know, it's looking like coral. They do give a white and they do give a black, okay, on these, and they get multiple different colours, and you can see the colours coming together. Okay, so that is quite intense. If I lift that up, or maybe is there a white somewhere? Prussian blue. So you've got colours like Prussian blue, oh, which is divine, and then brilliant red. And put a little bit of brilliant red on here. Okay, so I know I have put my brushes in here because I'm like looking at how it's coming out. These are definitely inky, so you can definitely get. So before it was crimson, and eventually, and you can add more inks on. So that's got quite a lot of inks on it. So things like purple, black, use a lot of black, brown, okay, violet. Well, violet might be a bit nice. I'm just gonna put a little bit more, drop some colour on here, a little bit more, okay, that makes the bleed happen a lot more. And you will find that when it's dry you can rub off, but I will say there is quite a lot of, so I'm going to do something with these. So it's quite nice to do butterfly wings and stuff like that, and then you can use. So again, a bit too much, but you can see the sprinkle. And I always think the first one is probably the nicest one to see, because you can realise how much everything else goes. Right, okay, I'm going to leave it there. So I don't know if you can see that. That does look like a mess. But if I lift this up to the camera, okay, and keep it very flat. All right, there we go. Okay, it does look very deep. Yeah. And you could also use, I'm actually just taking this now and I'm just kind of controlling that. I'm going to do another one because it was probably a bit too much in terms of colour, but I'm going to do something with that. So where we've done these ones, I'm just going to take that and I'm going to take and just go over the top. So I'm going to now take some of this, what I've just done, and if you want to change your colour, change your paints, you can. I might go in with the Prussian blue, and then you'll see the change of colour happen. As I say, I've used these, and I can tell because they're not as fine. So I've been using a paintbrush and just dipping it in. Oops, way too much. Way too much. Never mind, I'm going to use that. And I'm not going to add in any more there, but I am going to take my small paintbrush and I'm now going to literally, you can then do anything out from it. So you've got a colour underneath and you're just messing, but again, and this, because of the colour, and this is Prussian blue. So Prussian blue is a really, really deep, almost like I'm using beetle blue. And I'm just going to kind of do this really kind of idea of almost like, to me it reminds me of a wing from a butterfly. So you're just taking the colours and going out. I've got an awful lot of colour there. So, and again, just drawing. And I'm not controlling that drawing. I'm literally doing it from further up so that I can have a little bit less control of the paintbrush. And I will take what I've done and put maybe some of that back into the pot. So there you go. But you can take something very simple and create something very lovely. And in fact, reminds me of a spider with more legs than it needs to be. So on that note, I'm going to stop. So you have got the choice of Brusho, which are a little bit more controlled, or you have got the choice of Koh-i-noor, and that is kind of like the how you would see them. So they do Koh-i-noor watercolors, which come in a round pot. They're not these. These are highly pigmented. Anyway, I'm going to call that a day. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what I do, my name's Laura. At the moment, it's Laura's Place of Art, or Not Just Art. So I do a mixture of different things. Thank you very much. Have a good morning.